Coming up today on Locked On at Texas Tech, how to get your own engine started when you're a 45-point favorite. And are we carrying transfer portal regrets given recent injury developments? We investigate next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again and beginning to really look ahead in earnest to week number 2, preparations underway for Kent State. We have gone over, of course, the obvious storylines leaving week number 1 as it relates, unfortunately, to some injury angles. Catch up on all of that if you have missed the first couple of episodes this week on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. On today's episode, Chris, want to get to a couple of things specifically. One of them outside of the football universe, about 7 foot worth of basketball center apparently added to a roster. Did want to catch up on that with you before we get out of here.
Hoover!
There you go. That's the one. Also, want to revisit, and this courtesy of a question from a Matador mobster. I want to revisit in light of what we talked about, moving pieces now defensively because of the Michael Dingle injury. Want to revisit, courtesy of a Matador mobster question, the context back in portal window time around not adding a linebacker, really one of the few spots that was sort of immune to seeing additions made. So we'll get back to that. And of course, a situation now that does impact that group. I also want to go back to a comment from Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire to kick off the week regarding evaluation following the week 1 effort from his specialists and his kickers. But kicking off our conversation in general, and don't pardon that pun, Chris, I do want to ask you about the preparation for a game like this and something similar to last week. This has been a popular topic among the Matador mob this week. How the hell are they doing this? Because when you talk about spreads and expectations for these types of matchups, obviously it is a self-starter kind of deal where you've really got to create some intensity. You certainly don't want to take anybody lightly, but we all know the reality. So I'm wondering, in your perspective, all the years you've seen these types of things come and go, what's a general protocol for trying to create some of your own intensity or urgency when maybe it's not all that easy facing some of these opponents that don't really get the pulse going?
Yeah. These are, okay, so here's what you have working against you like this coming week. It's a bit easier when it's the opener and it's at nighttime. When you have a 50-point underdog-ish, 45, 50, doesn't matter. And it's an 11 a.m.er. Tough to manufacture the juice and all that comes with that one. And so these are typically some of the most difficult things for a coach to get, in a normal circumstance. Now, I think you learn a lot about the maturity of your team, the self-starter aspect of it. Like, again, it's about us. Doesn't matter who's rolling in here. Doesn't matter what color they wear. Doesn't matter what time the game starts. It's about us, how we do it, when we do it, how well we do it, for how long we do it, all those things. But I think, you learn a lot about your team in any given year on circumstances like these when 11 a.m. kicks are just tricky anyways, but especially so when you're expected to win handily, and it's not, going to be a win that is very rewarding or anything, like there's not a lot on the line. So
do you think that makes a coach more critical? Like, do you trend toward more critical that week as a staff, or you know what I'm saying? Whenever it comes to really just kind of like trying to hammer down on these guys that just won by 60?
Yeah, maybe. Because here's what you'll hear about from from the program about Kent State this week. Because there's several of your guys on your team that played this team last year and beat them up pretty bad, and they just snapped the 22 game winning or losing streak, excuse me, and they beat Merrimack. But there's already they're a lot better this year, or they play really hard, or they're doing some different things effort-wise that you can clearly see this year compared to last year. And so that's Coach McGuire and his people, like, getting in front of these players, and these players are listening, So, but there's, Will Jados, Reggie Virgil, those are two of Skylar Gill Howard, I guess, as well. They all played, Kent State last year. So they know, but they may not, what they know may not be necessarily helping with to prove your point. They may know, like, yeah, man, they were bad.
They didn't score for 90 days.
Like they were.
Well, like, and it sounds like you're saying, did we catch Kent State at the wrong time? They're on the heater of all heaters right now. Or maybe they caught us at the wrong time, because a little motivation in the tank, at least if you're looking at the AP poll, Chris, a demotion just for stepping on the field, seems like, with Pine Bluff is what we got to kick off the week.
Yeah, so in the AP poll, which is the one I'm going to pay attention to the most, you dropped to 24. I think you were at 23 last week. Utah sneaks in there at 25, and then obviously Arizona State at 12, and Iowa State at 16. It's funny because there's I've seen it written and discussed and all that. Now we've got this. Okay, now we kind of know the upper tier of the Big 12 conference. We're 1 weekend, man, and like, no, some teams haven't even been tested. Other teams we think maybe were tested when maybe it really wasn't a test. We just don't know it yet. Because, I mean, UCLA may be terrible. North Carolina may be terrible. But if anybody wants to go out and crown Utah or TCU, by all means, go for it. But there's 4 months to go. But Texas Tech, this is the problem with playing a game like the Pine Bluff and a game like Kent State. I understand when these teams win these Power 4 non-conference games, they should get some credit. I mean, I don't disagree with that sentiment. You put yourself out there a little bit, there's got to be some reward for it. And so if TCU moves up into whatever, or if Utah moves into the poll because they hammered UCLA, I mean, I certainly understand. And go ahead.
Don't you think it could be weighted differently this time of year too? Because there are far fewer of those Power 4 clashes to compete with, whereas later in the year it's like, well, everybody's got that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may get some bonus points even.
Yeah, which is because I think there's 3 teams in the top 10 that got bonus points, because there's 3 teams in the top 10 with a loss, and they're still in the top 10, and we've only played 1 week. I mean, they're 0-1. Let's see here. Yeah, UT, Clemson, and Notre Dame. I know we're all shocked. But yeah, they were bonus pointed or rewarded for playing these games.
I will say, God, and I'm disgusted at myself by saying this, a weekend at the Shoe hitting a little different than Coral Gables or who was the other? Clemson. With all due respect to those.
Yeah, well, because in Clemson they lost a home game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind UT like not being just cut off at the legs for going to Ohio State, but Clemson ain't what they've been. So LSU's credit there, no bonus points for you.
So what I hear you saying is, what I hear Casey Cowan, I want everybody to write this down, maybe sure you mark the video on the time. I hear Casey Cowan saying Arch Manning for Heisman still. Is that right?
Don't you give these boys a chance in Austin. They got the world up against them. All right, fast forward. Segment number 2 coming in hot.
Yes.
All right, 24 is where the Red Raiders are checking in with, I guess, potentially only damage to be done by lining her up again Saturday. Even if you cover, they may dock you for it. Oregon State on the other. Your first big opportunity, and we talked about this in the summer, Salt Lake City. assuming the Utes keep everything preserved on their end, but it's going to be a little bit to earn some street credit at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Utah is going to be. I mean, UCLA is going to be what everybody judges them on, because I don't think they have anything on paper at all until they play you. So I heard somebody say this earlier, that UCLA is going to be the best team that either one of Tech and Utah have played amongst the two of them when they play each other. So, but that's that I'll be interested to see, based on this trend of being 23, then you drop one. I guess I would say that I still hope you're ranked when you play. I don't think there's just a lot that you can do to raise your profile. I think that it's going to come down to what else is happening around you, and is anybody losing, or who from that isn't ranked is trying to move up. Because I think TCU, they're technical on paper 31 in the also receiving votes. Well, they play SMU here in a week or two. If they beat SMU and they beat North Carolina, I mean, they're gonna be ranked at some point, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. So we'll kind of see how this thing plays out.
Therein kind of highlighting the absurdity in the preseason rankings effort when you consider something like that for Texas Tech, a team they perceived as a top 25 team, nothing unchanged from that to now. But, oh, wait, these others have done something, so we'll throw them in now and shuffle Texas Tech on back. But we weren't wrong about that. We just want that clear. We weren't wrong about it. We've evolved. That's what it is.
Right.
We've evolved, Chris. All right.
Just beat Utah. That's all I'm worried about. Beat Utah. It will sort itself out.
It is nice to have. Let's pimp it if you can, but not necessarily what you're here for, the AP prize. Although that was on the trophy at one point in time. A lot has changed with those laws, though. Chris, let's move on. I got so flustered following that UT defense. I don't even know where I'm going at this point in time. I think we're talking specialists coming up next. First, today's episode brought to you by Mazda. And Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. And with Mazda, your family's safety is number one. And that's why Mazda's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anybody else. And Mazda offers more than safety with smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode brought to you by SupplyHouse. And when the whistle blows on a new repair, you can get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. SupplyHouse's real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting any projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Needing parts fast for a project? SupplyHouse has next-day delivery, and that's a game changer. And their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make any process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. And visit SupplyHouse.com to sign up for free and use our promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's SHCollege5 at SupplyHouse.com for 5% off your first order. Real people, real service at SupplyHouse.com. I think we're talking specialists coming up next, and we're going to take a listen to Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire, because we knew coming into the year, obviously an intriguing storyline would be the kicking game once again. We've got 1 week now in the books, and Coach McGuire was asked about his take on that effort.
Number one, Kenny did a great job. Coach Perry did a great job of getting them all in. So one, I thought Stone did a great job of kickoffs. I think he's got a great opportunity to lead the country in touchbacks just because he's got such a strong leg. Ian actually, on the one they returned, Coach Perry actually asked him, like, hey, don't try to kick this out of the end zone. We want to see how our kickoff coverage covers. And so that was kind of planned because the next time Ian kicked it, he did a good job. I think we hit a 29-yarder and a 31-yard field goal, so it was good to get those guys in the game.
Kind of wondering, Chris, beyond the surface, what might have been learned internally. Do you think there were things to take away from Saturday?
So you had 3 different kickers kick either extra point or field goal. You had multiple deep snappers. We never saw a punter unless it was Jack Burgess and they're holding. Because Joey talked about this. It's like there's been 2 different games we brought Burgess's entire family over here to watch a game. And both games he's never punted. So we may be traveling these folks around with us for the rest of the season because they are – yeah, that's right. So – and again, Ian Hershey was, as Kenny Perry would say, Ian Hershey was brought in here to back up Jack Burgess at punter. But I will say, and it's going to continue, so I don't think there's anything definitive yet. However, as it relates to your kicker, I think that Stone Harrington has won the kickoff job. Okay, I think that is his job. Now, when we're getting into the extra point and field goal duties, which is what we've talked about all summer, like just one of those things that you're kind of curious about, like how worried are you about it? When will it get sorted out? You tried to address it in the portal and all those things. But I would tell you that I'm not so sure that Stone Harrington isn't winning this job. I don't think that he's won it. There's a big difference there. I think that if Stone Harrington doesn't blink in the next 2 weeks, he's going to kick the meaningful extra points and field goals and all those things in Salt Lake City. And I think at that point you will say, okay, bud, go for it. And it'll be his gig. I think this competition will somewhat continue over the next 2 weeks. How stressed it will be, I mean, there's no way to know. And that's what sucks about like Bellenfant just misses an extra point in a meaningless game. Totally afterthought. Doesn't matter a bit. But and when you're in a bit of a competition, it all matters. And I think that's. I'm not saying that Harrington is now out in front because of that, but it didn't help Upton's case as you're trying to, the margins are pretty thin here. You don't know what opportunities you're ultimately going to get against Kent State. You could have 4 field goal attempts or none. I mean, you just, there's no way to really get in. Same with Oregon State. You just don't know but I think that at this point right now, down the stretch they come. I think Stone Harrington is he's ahead by a leg or 2, pun intended.
Thoughts on the kicking game from yours truly first. I'm pretty sure Bellenfant, number 27, that number should never be given to a specialist. I don't know if it should be given to anyone.
Wes Welker, man.
Give me a break. That's the first thing I'm thinking about looking through the binoculars on Saturday night. That ain't Wes Welker. Maybe just the first off the bus dude, even if he doesn't play. We got to have 27 looking good, at least on the sidelines, with all due respect to the physique of Upton Bellenfant. But Chris, I think this is one of those actual battles or, portions of a game like Saturdays, and hopefully another one on Saturday morning, sort of a snoozer on the scoreboard, where I know it would feel different if it's Ames, Iowa to like win the game in the Big 12 in November, but this has to be one of the things that comes with a lot of pressure, just given the happenings for the team on a day like Saturday or this next one. Because like you're talking about, just an extra point at the end of the game could have an implication on this type of competition. Yep. And I'm not saying it's just a parade and easy street for all the other spots or anything like that. I know it all brings value, but it's just you out there when you're doing this, man. And I don't know, even if it's only in front of 3,500 Red Raiders in a 60-point game, there's got to come some intensity and urgency with that type of setting. So there's plenty to take away probably from this next Saturday as well.
Yeah, self-starter type conversation there. It all
Yes.
matters. And yeah, I just this one's interesting just because I told you this about Stone Harrington, who's been in the program for some years now. But he's starting to meet with somebody and kind of talking through the mental part of the game. And I just think, Stone was maybe previously guilty of just overthinking some things and whatever, but I think he's in a good spot now. But he's a big kid, very talented. And I think we had this conversation, I want to say, what was it, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I said if it's not Upton Bellenfant kicking field goals, and if it's not Stone with kickoffs, and it's not Burgess at punter, there's been an upset here. Well, I think we're potentially on the verge. Not that I'm calling it. I'm just saying, because I noticed this Saturday, and I noted it on the broadcast. I'm like, I would have thought that Upton Bellenfant was going to kick the first extra points and have the first opportunities, but it was Stone Harrington.
Yep.
That
did stood out to me too. And you were calling it, I believe, a brewing minor upset at the time, if it came to fruition. And the kettle's about to start whistling, I think, possibly. But we've still got some time and some kicks, obviously. So we'll see what changes.
Do you still buy one of those these days? Like
yeah.
where just when it gets so hot it starts steaming? Okay, yeah, that's some like classy old school stuff right there with making tea or coffee or whatever.
These are the folks preserving a nation, Chris. Nothing smart about these kettles. No Wi-Fi necessary. They can't lock you out of that coffee or tea or whatever. Okay. Again, I've confused myself at the transition point. I know we're going to talk about something else next, but I've gotten flustered by the coffee and kettle talk. Linebackers, Chris. It's a question from the Matador Mob I actually wanted to throw to you next. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And the NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use anywhere, all across the app. And, of course, the FanDuel app, by far the quickest and easiest way to add electricity to your NFL Sunday. Ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. This is actually, as a result, I think, of our conversation about Michael Dingle and how this injury impacts a couple different spots there defensively, given the fact that the star spot is a hybrid position and some of these guys have crossover sort of ability from linebacker to maybe a safety or defensive back. And the other layer that John Curry, a former linebacker only, has now manned that spot to open up the year. So if you missed that episode, now you're caught up. But the question from Roy, a Matador Mob text he sent in yesterday, and I was going back and forth with him on it a little bit, was kind of considering where we came from in such a busy transfer portal window. Can you take us back to the context around that position and efforts either that were made, or was it one they never really felt like efforts that were made and didn't come to fruition with an addition, is what I mean. And that's some unintentional rhyme master work there. Or was it just never really on the hot sheet of a big time need that they had to go get? Do you think they regret it at all?
So interior linebacker was one of, and I guess it may be we are determining was the only one that really wasn't touched via the portal class. Interior linebacker specifically. I mean, outside linebacker, defensive end, defensive line, corner, safety, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, offensive line, kicker, specialist, whatever. Even Ian Hershey, and Bellum. But this was as we dumbed it down, this is the one. And Cal, how I would answer this is, I do think you addressed it in the portal. It just you retained Jacob Rodriguez. That was your. I think he cost. Like it was. I think that when he made the decision that he was going to return, because it was far from a given, that there was either professional. His wife is not located here; she's elsewhere, stationed as that Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and all those things. And so I think that was. And then I would offer this up to you too. You're going to get Justin Horn back at some point this season. He's kind of got the Chapman Lewis thing going, where he should be back in like October. He's also an interior linebacker. And it's funny because Dingle is he's more of an outside linebacker, so it's not even in the same, group. But I wanted to look at the list of names just to make sure that I had because you had Gage Elder, you had Wesley Smith out there on Saturday toward the end of the game. I think Brock Golwas is a freshman that was a highly recruited kid that I think is going to replace Dingle in a lot of the special teams, and he's more of an interior linebacker by nature, 6'1", 235. I also think, so I'm just being very transparent here. I think had you taken another running back, which we thought that you might at the end of the spring, remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Like safety or running back, could you use another guy? You only have the three, and and Adam Hill was always that fourth guy. Well, I think had you taken another running back and it bumped Adam Hill to fifth, which it would have likely done, I think at that point Adam Hill becomes an interior linebacker for you. I think that's the big picture plan for Adam Hill, honestly. So you just have to know all of those kinds of things, and that may be why they didn't feel the need to do that. You're addressing everything else. We get Jacob back. We think Curry may stay at interior linebacker. It turns out he's kind of moved to the star spot, which is now kind of an outside spot. So there's just all these things that at the time you had no idea. Easy to look at it now and go, yeah, I bet they regret it. Well, at the time it looked like you were squeaky clean, because I'm telling you, Adam Hill, if you want to move him to that, he'll be a hell of a interior linebacker. I mean, built just like it. Great football IQ. Gonna hit you, and just so happens now he's gonna ball in the hands when he's laying those hits on folks. But you'll get Horn back. You'll continue to see Golwas play. Elder, Smith, those are backup types that I think can fill in on special teams and be like third, fourth string types. So that's the why. But yeah, man, hell, if you'd have known you were going to be in this spot now and it was a little thinner, maybe you would have. But I think there were already built-in scenarios there where you're like, we're not worried about it because this guy's coming back. We'll move this guy over to this position, and now why would we want to add somebody? So anyway,
I think the timeline didn't really afford anything to work out that way, an opportunity for it to work out that way, because obviously the Rodriguez move or non-move, like you're talking about, is sort of where that conversation has to begin. But maybe if you thought that, hey, you're going to line up something here at Star in fall camp that's going to be hit by an injury or whatever it might be, and we've got to use a linebacker, that you're looking more for a hybrid type to fill the Star, but you weren't thinking that at that time. So I think all these things, and the reason the question is being asked about the linebackers is because Curry's, I guess, necessity now at that star position, just as you described yesterday, Chris, makes it a little bit thinner from a linebacker standpoint on the inside. So we'll see how it all plays out, and why not just wish for some good luck from a health standpoint, and let's hope that we don't actually have to revisit this portion of the conversation often or ever moving forward. I'd be okay with that. but certainly something worth monitoring. Before we get out of here, Chris, I want to get to this and catch up on some news that came down the pipe not too long ago and worth monitoring. I think anytime we're talking about 7 foot worth of height being added to a basketball roster, this in the form of Latrell Hoover for Grant McCaslin and the Red Raiders, based on what I saw or understood from the reporting at RedRaidersports.com, a high school level guy from San Antonio that may have been headed toward an academy year, but it sounded like an immediate addition now to the program. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, and I think it caused all kinds of interesting reactions amongst the fan base, which I get, because this is weird. It's kind of like the Cooper Hackett commitment in the middle of a rain delay on a Saturday night when he's on a visit elsewhere. It's like, huh? Is this real? Like, what? Why now? And then you're thinking, like, you just added a 7-footer, basically around a week of classes has already taken place, and now we're hearing about this news. Like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with him? Why do you need him? Is he any good? I mean, I get all the questions. So yeah, Latrell Hoover. So here's where you're at. I think they had been looking. So there was an overseas player that was basically in the boat, and because of some social media activity, the agent just was like, I don't know if this is the best place for my client, and there was some activity going on about the cost of it and blah 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 blah. Anyway, it goes awry, and so they'd continue to be looking for a developmental big man. Okay, you can't teach 7 foot, and so they have open spots on their roster, as we know. So Latrell Hoover had been somebody that they were paying attention to, and he played with a kid named Kingston Flemings, who is a big time, was maybe one of their top targets a year ago, and Kingston Flemings ended up picking Houston over Texas Tech. So they had watched Mr. Hoover a lot. Okay, they were well aware of him. And the thought was he was going to go to either junior college or he was going to go to a prep school for a year or two and then do the D1 thing. At some point, this became like, man, I think that he may just jump right into this deal. And so it was Purdue, and Virginia Tech. These were the 3 programs that were like ready to do the let's go ahead and let's start dating, man. Let's do the thing. Let's get you on campus and start the developmental process now. But I think he's supposed to be here this week, and away we go. So it's this is exactly why whenever we get asked about April and again in June and all that about the hoops roster, is it done? And you have to be careful about talking in absolutes. And you always want to say, I think you'll have a better feel for the first day of classes. Well, hell, I mean, here we are a week in. We're on week number 2 of classes at Texas Tech on this lovely campus that we both call our alma mater, and yet we're about to be a new 7-footer walking.
I get that. I identify with that. You know, the teacher a lot of times will be emailing me, hey, you're enrolled. Are you going to be in this class? Well, I don't have a feel for it till week 2 or 3, teach. I'm sorry.
I just showed up I just need the syllabus.
I'm still thinking about it. All right. Well, I appreciate you carving out a little time for hoops in September, which is not always the occasion. But yeah, like you said, man, you can't teach 7 foot, and always going to be interested to see somebody like that added to a roster. And I will roll the dice on anybody getting developed by this basketball staff and this program. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out. All right, Chris, enjoyed it as always, my man, and appreciate the info and perspective. And we'll see you for the next one.
Hoover. Yeah, there we go. Mr. Hoover, welcome to the 806. If you're here, hopefully, you'll they won't mark you tardy or absent for all those days that you missed, and we'll start the developmental process. Also, in the linebacker conversation, because I don't want to get anybody sideways or whatever. I forgot to mention like Trent Lowe is also another name that's been in the program for several years now too, as an interior linebacker. So want to make, because he does good things as well. So anyways, so there you go. All right, man. Sorry, I'm rambling here at the end, but we're adding pieces. We're wondering why pieces weren't added, and we're crossing over sports. And so my head's just,
No, it's cool, man. There wasn't a transition point the whole show where we didn't stammer around a little bit. So I like that. That's consistent grouping.
There you go. There you go.
There's no doubt about that. And I'm sure that we can overlook a few unexcused absences. No doubt about that. And as long as we're giving linebacker shout out to my guy, Wesley Smith. I learned who you are on Saturday. I don't even know where you're going, where you've been, but you remind me of the 90s. I just like your look, the club, and he just kind of built like a brick house.
He's the West Texas meatball.
Let's go. Where's he from? You know,
Midland.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, Midland. Yeah, Joey calls him. Joey's like, that's the West Texas meatball. Yeah. No,
look, I see a guy hit the field with the club, and I'm reminded of the days of my youth. You'd like to have one of those on your team, I think, just somewhere. Yes. A guy with a club on one hand or another. All right. Thank you all for the time. Appreciate you for being out there. As always, get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And of course, thanks to the everydayers for always riding along, and the Matador Mob for being out there as well. Thanks to our guy, Roy, and everybody that was texting on some of what we discussed today. Keep them coming, any subject, anytime, and hit the show notes to find a link to a free 14-day trial. If you're interested in joining that crew, that's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one texting straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.